Hi and welcome to this reading. Today's reading, I'm picking up the energy of somebody wanting to return to your life, somebody that you have put boundaries up with before, and they want to rekindle a relationship. Now, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it can be, but I'm just picking up somebody that was put on your soul path, somebody that you had a soul contract with in order to learn a particular lesson. And for me, it is how to stand up for yourself and put up boundaries. Now, I did a pre-shuffle for this reading and these were the cards that came out. First is number 9, and now that's Aziel, Divine Mercy and Forgiveness, and that card aligns with the Hierophant. Hierophant is Taurus and Venus energy, but the Hierophant is the soul contract that you and a person have with God in order to learn a specific set of lessons in this lifetime. So let me pop that card there. Now, I got the Judgment card. You've previously made a judgment call with this person. Now, I've got a little puppy playing beside me, so if you hear little squeaky toy noises, that's what it is. So you've previously made a judgment call with this person. You've either put up boundaries, you've walked away, you have potentially expressed an opinion about something that they were doing, how they were treating you, how they were treating other people, how they were treating themselves. They felt like you've judged them, and maybe they walked away. Go and sit up high where he can't get you. Yeah, you lie down, lie down. Now, I did mention it in a previous reading, but what's actually, there's a bit of stop-start going on here in this reading. I have got a 4-year-old Labradoodle. You can hear tippy-tapping around, and I've got a 11-week-old Labradoodle. In Dogland, there's some boundary setting going on here. The older dog is laying down the boundaries for the younger dog, who is taking liberties and almost coming in a playful way in order to get back in the good graces of the older dog who's been laying down some boundaries. Interesting. Interesting how the energy in the collective at the moment is that people are returning to your life who you have previously either put up boundaries to or cut ties with. And it's part of a test. I got the Devil card. The Devil is Saturn energy, but the Devil is also toxic patterns, toxic people that, as I said, you've put up boundaries to. Things that you have seen and you're like, actually, you know what? I don't align with that anymore. So you've walked away. Or, as I said before, you've told somebody that doesn't align with me anymore. And the little puppy was barking, trying to assert his authority over the big dog. So somebody's had a bit of a go at you and they've walked away. You or they've walked away. The Ace of Wands, a relationship that is trying to be reignited, but it's part of a test. Part of a test. And the test is that you've previously been illuminated to this person's behavior. Okay, you've seen a truth. The Ace of Swords is a truth. That noise in the background is a puppy trying to tear apart a toy. You've been illuminated to a truth. The 5 of Cups is Mars and Scorpio, something that was destroyed previously. Mars is action energy. Marge. Somebody's name might be Marge. Marge is fighting, or Mars, sorry. Mars is fighting. Margin, you've made a margin call. And I think what's happening here is this person's re-entered your life and you're making a call as to whether you can trust the veneer of how they're re-entering, potentially coming back in playful energy. Now, when I went to start this reading before, so this is the second time somebody's come towards you. When I went to start this reading before, and he's just come back. He's gone into the other room, the puppy. He's just come back with a little red crab. Now, when you think about a crab, that's Cancer energy. So it's emotions, it's feelings. It is, a crab has a hard exoskeleton and a soft inside. So you've got your boundaries up. And we've got the sun there. Because Lumia, you've burnt me once before, Beauty and the Beast. You've got your boundaries up to this person. But when I was starting this reading before, I had somebody text me who I've put boundaries up to in my life quite a while ago, actually. Texting me in a playful way. So not a direct contact, but almost a sideways contact. They're looking for an in. The other thing I want to say here is that Neptune is currently in Pisces. It's at the 29th degree of Pisces. Pisces is about spirituality, the spiritual lessons, the devil, Saturn, the spiritual lessons that you learn in this lifetime on the soul, the Hierophant, in the soul contract that you have with this person. At the beginning of next year, because Neptune's transit, I think, is 164 years. So when Neptune, which is the bottom of the ocean, Pisces, spirituality, the deep spiritual lessons that you learned in the soul contract that you have with this person, when you put those lessons into action and make a decision about how you proceed forward with this person in the future, it needs to be based on the spiritual lessons that you've learned from the past. Because Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, and Neptune is going into Aries next year. Aries is, if we talk about a farmer, Aries is the seeds that you plant. But if you haven't learned the spiritual lessons from the past with this person, that whole karmic cycle starts again. Okay, so if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. A bit about me first. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I pick up on energy prior to a reading. I will then come and use my tarot and oracle decks to further clarify that message. And I've edited it out, but what just happened there was two dogs are playing tug of war over a toy. Obviously, we've got a little dog and a big dog. The big dog's trying to create boundaries. The little one's trying to assert them. They're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody's learning the lesson. Okay, the energy around you at the moment. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's have a look. We've got the Magician, Illusion, and the Ten of Wands. There's a real frustration energy here because I'm really frustrated with these. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to separate them. They just kept repeating. Ten of Wands. They just kept repeating the same lesson. They kept fighting over the same toy. Lesson unlearned is doomed to repeat. The Death card, Death and Rebirth. It's doomed to repeat. It repeats in a different way. Same lesson, same pattern, different way. Okay, let's have a look at the energy. The energy in the 3D. Five of Pentacles. Somebody's feeling left out here. They want to reignite this connection. Sorry, I'm just watching where a puppy goes. I'm making sure he can't get out of the house. So if I don't watch him, he finds somewhere to wee. Okay, somebody wants to come back inside. Potentially you've shut the door on them. That is Mercury in Taurus. They want to build with you. They're trying to communicate that they want to build with you because Mercury is about communication. Let's have a look what's happening in the soul. Chariot. Yeah. They're coming towards you. It's Cancer and Moon energy. They're coming towards you, but this is Saturn in Pisces. And you're potentially walking away because you've learned the spiritual lesson and you've put up boundaries. Okay, what's happening in the soul? What's happening in the soul? This is what's happening in the soul. So this High Priestess card is actually here. It's the message from the man upstairs. The High Priestess it's hidden energy. It's highly spiritual energy, and it is about a test. The test that this relationship represents. And it is, am I going to get back into, because if you think about Aries, it's the start. Am I going to get back in and replant the seeds with this person if I haven't learned the spiritual lessons? Because then the same thing is just going to happen again. The outcome, the Queen of Pentacles. What are you building? What are you rebuilding with this person? The Two of Swords. The Queen of Pentacles is Uranus in Virgo. It's all going to come crashing down again if you haven't learned the spiritual lessons. And the Two of Swords is the Moon in Libra. Again, hidden. It's almost about, if you're going to rebuild with this person, you have to do it on a new set of guidelines. When we went to, and I said this in the previous reading, when we went to the vet with a new puppy, she said to us, because I've got a 4-year-old puppy and an 11-week-old puppy, and she said to us, you have human rules in your house, and then the dogs have dog rules, and you need to allow the older dog to set the boundaries with the younger dog. It's almost like there's two timelines. It's like human timeline and dog timeline, if we're using that example. But for you, it's about looking at the timeline that you've had previously with this person, all the lessons that you learned, all of the boundaries that you put up, and making sure that if you are going to embark on a new timeline with this person, you're not driving over old roads. You're setting up the boundaries as to how you move forward. Because otherwise, what's the point? Okay, let's get, what have we got here? The Emperor. The Emperor is Aries. Are you going to, now this is divine masculine energy here. Emperor is an action card, the action that you are taking moving forward. A balanced Emperor is somebody who has the wisdom to know ahead of time the outcome of the actions that they take. This is a balanced Emperor, not gender specific. We all hold divine feminine and divine masculine energy within us, but this is Aries. The Emperor is a card of Aries. The action that you take. And even if you look at this card, right, all of the little, almost look like little puzzle pieces. Have you pieced the puzzle together? Okay. Did you learn the lessons? Okay. Anything else we need to know about these lessons? This is 3D energy here. Okay. Judgment, which we had back there. Judgment, the King of Cups, Neptune. This is perfect. Judgment is Pluto energy. Are you going to revolution? Is the wheel going to run forwards or is the wheel going to run backwards? Are you going to repeat the lessons that you've already, well, that you were meant to learn with this person? The King of Cups is about Neptune in Pisces, which is where I said Neptune was, the 29th anaretic degree. Did I say it in this reading? Anaretic degree of Pisces. It's about to run into Aries. Did you learn the spiritual lessons that you were meant to learn with this person? Have you built on that knowledge base enough that you can make a judgment call in terms of whether you re-engage with this person or not, whether you rebuild with them? That is the Sun in Virgo. Virgo is the Hermit card, the spiritual lessons that you learn. This is about this person feeling left out in the cold. We've got 2 5s here. They're coming back. 5's a change. They're coming back because they feel left out in the 3D and they feel left out spiritually. They want to rekindle this connection with you. But just because somebody wants something doesn't mean it's in your best interest or in theirs. The Queen of Pentacles under here. And the Knight of Cups, that's the Moon in Scorpio, and that is Uranus in Virgo. Have you learnt the spiritual lessons? It's part of a soul journey that you're on with this person, the Star, healing and transformation. And that's the garbage truck going up the street, taking out the trash, taking out the toxicity of what was in this relationship from the past. And you can rebuild, but you can't rebuild on that toxic or on those toxic patterns from the past. The Chariot, the Hermit card, the spiritual journey. And sometimes it takes somebody putting boundaries up to send the other person on a spiritual journey. You know, maybe if you are somebody and you notice that, people just aren't picking up your call anymore, or people are putting boundaries up, and this could be you, but it could be this person. You've burnt bridges with everybody around you. That's often because you've got something toxic or they've got something toxic that has caused people to put up boundaries. And so once all these people put up their boundaries, all they've got left is themselves. And they have to go in and do some internal soul work. Because you've already picked up on, with the Ace of Swords here and the Sun, which is illumination, you've already picked up the truth in their toxic behavior and made a judgment call and literally, put up your boundaries. But they haven't yet. And oftentimes what happens is somebody who is in patterns of toxic behavior will continue to do that, or not even realize that the behavior is toxic, unless it's deliberate. Now that's a different kettle of fish. But not even realize that their behavior is toxic until people start putting up the boundaries. And they start going, well, why? Why is nobody answering my calls? Why is nobody offering help? And I watched years and years ago, I think it was on Oprah, maybe 20 years ago. But if you are the yes person in somebody's life, you will always be that yes person. You will always be the person that they call. You will always be the person that they rely on until you say no. And then they kick up a stink because their yes person is now saying no. But that's what sends them into this hermit soul journey. What else? This person coming back to you. Two of Wands. You're making other plans. The Two of Wands is Mars in Aries. The action that you take moving forward. And this is basically saying, because it's come out in reverse, it's a card of no action with this person until you can recognize on a level of truth that they are making changes or that they've made a change. That's the only way they're going to re-enter your life, I would say. And there needs to be some gratitude here, and you wouldn't necessarily say it to this person until they are healed, but there needs to be some gratitude here for the fact that this person has allowed you to put up your boundaries. You can be angry with them and you can be cross and you can be, God, it was awful dealing with that pattern of toxicity within that person, but also be grateful for the lesson that they gave you. And that is putting up your boundaries. That is potentially, they sent you on some sort of spiritual journey. Okay, the High Priestess. The Four of Pentacles, the Sun in Capricorn. Fear, being held back. Let's see what else comes out. And then and communication. The Sun in Capricorn and Mercury in Sagittarius. I just want to get one more. Because here, that's divine communication. Yeah, look at that. How beautiful. The Queen of Cups, which is intuition. Following your internal guidance. And this is about too, this is a message from the man upstairs. This is about too, following your internal guidance, following your intuition as to whether you let this person in or not. Neptune in Libra. Are they balanced enough to invite them back in? And I've just gone over to the dog door because I had to put my big dog outside. And he's just come running to the dog door, looking at me like, are you going to let me back inside? Are they balanced enough to be let back in? And I even want to say here, sometimes God puts you outside. Now, he wasn't the one in the argy-bargy that was going on between them. He wasn't the one that was the problem. It was the little guy that was the problem. Sometimes God actually puts you in a timeout because somebody else is just going round and around and around and repeating the same lesson. They haven't learned it. So for your sanity, God actually puts you in a timeout, moves you into an area, a bit like, I popped my big dog outside because every time the little one came up and wanted to muck around with him, but he was sleeping on the ground, sleeping on the floor, and the little one would just come up and literally just launch himself and pounce on him. And of course the big one would get cross, bark at him and then move away. Well, the little one thought that it was a game. Oh, well, you're moving away. Now I'm going to chase you. We were just going round and round and round in circles. So I actually popped him outside to give him a break from the little one. Popped him outside. God's given you a bit of a timeout so that you can, because this is intuition. This is intuition, the High Priestess, and the Eight of Wands is divine communication. popped you outside so that you can get a bit of a timeout. So you have the time and space to think about how you want to move forward with this person. And it might have seemed to you like you had been, that's the word, pushed out. But when I popped my big dog outside, I gave him a treat. And that was my way of saying to him, you've actually done nothing wrong. You're not being put outside because you've done something wrong. I'm just helping you until the little one learns how to play better. Has this person that's coming back into your life learned how to play better? Okay, the Queen of Pentacles. What an interesting reading. Brought to you by me and my 2 dogs. The Ace of Cups, a spiritual lesson. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Almost allowing you to fill your cup before you share it again with anybody else. Yeah, beautiful. The Ace of Wands. The new journey that you're taking. That's really beautiful. Really, really beautiful cards. And the Seven of Cups. The choice. You now have a choice. You have a choice to make. And if you haven't pulled yourself away, this message from the man upstairs is saying, before you make any decision about how you're going to move forward with somebody who's re-entering your life, take the time, a bit like that text that came through. I'm not going to respond to it straight away because that would be unbalanced Emperor energy and almost be giving somebody a green light that they can come back in. I'm just going to take the time. Because oftentimes when you re-engage with somebody who hasn't learnt a lesson, they actually think that their past behaviour is forgiven. Interesting. Okay, let's get a message for you. Anything else? Yes. On confirmation of what I just said. Re-engaging with somebody. Love is the greatest healer. They think that their past behavior is forgiven. Their past behavior is only forgiven if they can present to you or you can recognize that there's some remorse. Joyous resolution. That's when you get joyous resolution. Higher self. Tapping into your higher self. What can you see about this person's current behavior? The truth is being revealed. What can you see? What truth can you see in this current person's behavior that reminds you of the toxicity from the past? Now, I knew I did have it. Divine mercy and forgiveness on that card. There's been so many distractions in this reading that the Hierophant, this angel, will help you discern sincerity in the promises of others and will pardon those who commit offences against them. So meaning that you will give forgiveness to people who are sincere in their promises that they've learnt a lesson. Soul Guardian for those born 2:40 a.m. to 3 a.m. Moral Guardian for those born the 28th of March, the 8th of June, the 19th of August, the 30th of October and the 10th of January. Physical Guardian for those born the 29th of April to the 3rd of May. Okay, what do I want to get? I'm going to get one of these. This is my Gwen deck. Let's see what Gwen's my grandmother. Let's see what Gwen's got to say. Any words of wisdom? That's a doily that sat in the center of a table, the round table in her living room. And now I've got Knights of the Round Table, Excalibur. You're the only person that knows the truth, meaning that you're the only person that can pull that sword out of the rock. Okay, the temperature. Sorry, let me get back to what I was saying. I always found this was a little temperature gauge that sat in their house. But I always found it really strange because we've got a kangaroo here who can't read a temperature gauge, right? And then we've got a First Nations person dressed up in what would have been hundreds of years ago, how they dressed hundreds of years ago. And hundreds of years ago, they wouldn't have used a temperature gauge either. Even the fact it's got a little Joey. Now just let me sit with this for a moment, because something popped up in my feed yesterday and I didn't, maybe I learned it at school, I don't know. I'm 50, who remembers what you learned at school 40 years ago? But baby kangaroos are born, but they're born prematurely. They're like the size of just a bit bigger than a grain of rice. And they have to make their way up their mother's fur, so they're obviously born down here, and they have to make their way up the mother's fur and into the pouch, and they're blind and they're deaf, and they basically have no arms or legs, or like a little bit of a tail, so they're kind of like a little worm. They make their way up in there, and they've got to burrow around in there and find the mother's teat, and then they live in there for months and months and months and months and months before they finally pop their head out. It's almost like this huge test that they have to go through before they can emerge. Taking the temperature of this person before it can rebirth, it can re-emerge, pulling out the truth in it before it can re-emerge. That's a sugar bowl. And when you shine, it's silver. When you shine it up, you can literally see your reflection in it. It's made of silver. It's about reflecting on where you are in your own spiritual journey, but also reflecting back on the behavior, the past behavior of this person, and taking a gauge. And it's your truth. You're the only person that can decide moving forward what's going to happen with this person and this relationship. And we got there's a button. It was buttons from a button jar. It was all the spare buttons from all of the coats that were worn and all the trousers that were worn, and anything that had a button, that had a spare button in it, all the buttons would go in the button jar, waiting to come back and be reused. Interesting reading. What wants to come out on the bottom there? A teacup. Somebody's going to try and reconnect with you from about something from the past. That's their in. That's their way in. This teacup was my grandfather's, and it was given to my daughter because she was the firstborn grandchild. It's like a family heirloom that was passed down to the firstborn grandchild. Very interesting. Okay. Let's get some Scrabble tiles. Letters and numbers in here. It does make a little bit of noise when I shake it. If you have hearing sensitivity, please turn your volume down. I'm going to shake it in 3, 2, 1. Wonder if we're going to get a love here. Love. V and a 4. An E and a 1. An O. And a 1. A T and a 1, a Z and a 10, an S, and a B, stove. Okay, 3 final cards, and then I am going to leave you be. Anything else we need to know? Queen of Cups, follow your intuition. As I said before, that's Uranus in Virgo. Go within. Strength. You are allowed to put boundaries up, especially if it's somebody coming in, and that's emotional manipulation, trying to manipulate you with something, some sort of memory from the past. Fool. That's Aries energy. It's come out in reverse. Don't be a fool and jump back into a relationship with this person if you can recognize that they haven't changed, because otherwise the seeds that you're planting, this Aries card here, and I said Neptune is in Pisces at the moment. It's just about to flip over into Aries. The seeds that you plant with this person won't actually grow until this person has learned the lessons that they're meant to learn. The Nine of Wands, this person wanting to charge back in. and mend something, but they haven't mended themselves. Okay, that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. If it resonated with you, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're called to any of my tarot or oracle decks, the links to those can be found in the description box. All the best on this journey with this person, and I will see you in another reading.